Over the holidays, I finally sat down to catch up on some shows I'd been meaning to watch forever, and one of them was Scavengers Reign. And wow, this show deserves way more attention than it's getting. The insane animation, the stunning yet terrifying alien world, and a story that somehow manages to be bizarre, emotional, and completely engrossing all at once. That's Scavengers Reign. I had a few friends telling me, "You have to watch this, it's incredible." So I went in with high expectations, and honestly, it still blew me away. So yeah, Scavengers Reign is one of the best stories I've seen in a long time, which is why it's such a gut punch that it got cancelled after just one season. Just like that, it had a perfect score on Rotten Tomatoes, an Emmy nomination, and fans who were ready to shout from the rooftops about how good it was. But somehow, that wasn't enough. And the worst part, the creators had huge plans for season 2. They even put out a teaser after the cancellation, and it is as gorgeous, as heartbreaking, and as mysterious as season 1. So today, we're talking about Scavengers Reign, how it began, and what could have been. If you haven't watched it yet, trust me, this is your sign. And if you're already a fan, well, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So without further ado, let's get into it. Scavenger Reign's story started as an 8-minute animated short called Scavengers, where creators Joseph Bennett and Charles Hootner dropped us into an alien planet with 2 humans and no dialogue, just pure, mesmerizing visuals. It aired on Adult Swim's Toonami block, and even in that brief runtime, it left a massive impression. Bennett and Hootner knew they had something special, but turning a short into a full series wasn't going to be easy. For years, the concept floated around. They pitched it to Adult Swim, but it didn't gain traction, which I'm kind of surprised about because Adult Swim usually picks up shows like this. But it wasn't until 2022 that HBO Max decided to take a chance on it, greenlighting a 12-episode first season. Even then, the road wasn't exactly smooth. Animation is expensive, especially when it's as detailed and visually ambitious as Scavengers Reign. The production involved animators from all over the world: Mexico, Spain, Portugal, France, all working to bring the planet Vesta and its bizarre inhabitants to life. One of the most interesting things about the transition from Scavengers to Scavengers Reign is how much of the original story was preserved.
Right?
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out when we get there.
The short film was just a snapshot, a moment in time on an alien planet. The series expanded that moment into a full narrative, giving us characters, conflicts, and a broader sense of Vesta's ecosystem. But even with these additions, the show never lost that feeling of otherness. It still felt like you were peering into a world that didn't care about humanity, a world that would continue with or without the survivors of the Demeter. The name change is another fascinating detail. In mythology, Demeter is the goddess of agriculture, a really fitting name for a ship meant to help humans survive by carrying supplies and resources. Vesta, on the other hand, is the goddess of the home. At first glance, it seems ironic to name a hostile, alien planet after a symbol of warmth and safety, but as the story unfolds, it starts to make sense. Vesta isn't a place of comfort. It's a place where survival forces you to adapt, to redefine what home means. It's a planet that changes everything it touches, whether it's humans, a robot like Levi, or even itself. What's crazy is how personal the show feels, even with its massive scope. The creators infuse so much of themselves into the project, and you can see that determination in every frame. The characters, the creatures, the landscapes, it all feels like it was built from the ground up, with care and purpose. And that's not easy to pull off, especially in a medium where time and budget constraints can often force creators to cut corners. When Scavengers Reign premiered in October 2023, it was met with immediate acclaim. Critics and fans alike were blown away by its animation, its storytelling, and its willingness to take risks. But even as the praise rolled in, there were already signs of trouble brewing. HBO Max, the platform that gave the show a home, was going through major changes. The merger with Discovery Plus had shaken up the industry, leading to the cancellation of several beloved animated projects. And while Scavengers Reign managed to survive that initial wave, its future was anything but secure. But before we get into that, let's talk about the plot, the characters, and the world of Vesta. Now, the premise of Scavengers Reign is pretty simple. A cargo ship, the Demeter 227, suffers catastrophic damage while traveling through space, forcing its crew to evacuate. Most of the escape pods don't even make it to the surface of the planet below, but a handful of survivors manage to crash land on Vesta. And that's where the simplicity ends, because Vesta is unlike any place you've ever seen. It's alive. Fully alive. The planet is packed with creatures, plants, and ecosystems that are as stunning as they are deadly. The planet itself is not just a background for the events happening, it's the main force, the driving force of this story, shaping every character's experience in ways that are unpredictable and often brutal. The survivors are scattered across the planet and initially unaware of each other's presence. You've got Ozzy, a cargo specialist who's trying to make a life for herself with the help of a robot named Levi.
Levi, what was that?
What was what?
The sounds you just made, where did those come from?
I don't know, actually. They just came to me.
Then there's Sam, the commander of the Demeter, and Ursula, a plant expert. They form a partnership and try to find a way to contact any surviving crew members.
Wow, I didn't take you for the romantic type, Sam.
You find that hard to believe?
No, I don't find it hard to believe. You just never mentioned it.
And finally, there's Cayman. I don't even know where to begin with this one, but he is a troubled crew member who's stranded alone until he encounters Hollow, a telepathic and telekinetic alien creature that really looks like a panda, which takes over his mind.
Help me. I can't take the pain.
Has their own story, their own struggles, but their paths eventually begin to converge. Now, the creators clearly put so much thought into how this alien world works, and that is just another level of appreciation for thinking it completely through. And the result is something that feels less like a fictional planet and more like a place that could actually exist out there. Everything on Vesta is connected. Once again, it's like one massive self-sustaining organism where every creature and plant has a role to play. Take Hollow, for example. Hollow's relationship with Cayman is a perfect example of how Vesta doesn't see humans as special or superior. To Hollow, Cayman is just another tool, something to manipulate and use. But at the same time, there is this sense that Hollow is learning from Cayman, almost becoming more human in the process, and he's not learning the good things from Cayman. And then there's Levi, the robot, who starts out as a helper and ends up becoming something entirely different.
You have been here before. How else would you know how to get in so quickly?
Actually, Ozzy, I've been spending my nights exploring the surrounding area while you've been sleeping.
At first, Levi is just a machine not even from this planet, following Ozzy's commands and helping her survive. But when it starts absorbing the planet's strange yellow goo, it begins to change. It becomes more organic, more self-aware. By the end of the show, Levi isn't just a robot anymore. It's a part of Vesta, a hybrid of machine and nature. It's such a fascinating arc because it shows how Vesta doesn't just destroy things, it transforms them. And in Levi's case, it's not necessarily a bad thing. And let's talk about the design of Vesta itself. The landscapes are stunning, alien in every sense of the word, but still grounded enough to feel real. You've got glowing forests, underground rivers, crystal storms, and massive tree stumps that yet again serve as ecosystems in their own right. The colors are rich and vibrant, but never overbearing, and there's always this underlying sense of danger. Even the most beautiful scenes have a kind of tension, like something could go horribly wrong at any moment, and usually it does. The creators have said they pulled a lot of inspiration from nature documentaries, which makes so much sense. You can see it in the way the creatures move, the way the plants interact with their surroundings, and the way everything feels like it has its own place in the ecosystem. They didn't just make things up. They started with real biology and pushed it to the extremes. In the end, Vesta is one of the reasons Scavengers Reign feels so special. It's not just a story about people surviving on an alien planet, it's a story about the planet itself and the way it forces everyone to change. And speaking of change, now we need to talk about the fight to keep the show alive. And what would season 2 have been like? What were the creators planning? And what does that season 2 teaser tell us about the future of this world? As I mentioned earlier, Scavengers Reign came out of an 8-minute short film that aired on Adult Swim in 2016, 6 years later that HBO Max finally gave them the green light. But even with all that effort, the timing wasn't great. HBO Max was right in the middle of corporate chaos thanks to the Warner Bros. Discovery merger. Still, when the show finally premiered in October 2023, it felt like a win. The reviews were glowing, critics loved it, fans loved it, and it seemed like a solid step forward for adult animation. But despite all that, the show was cancelled in May 2024. No official reason was given, but it's not hard to connect the dots. Animation is expensive, and even with all the praise, it probably didn't pull in the kind of numbers HBO Max was hoping for. Here's where things get interesting though. After the cancellation, fans started rallying online. They were determined to save the show, and for a brief moment, it seemed like there might be hope. Netflix picked up the first season and released it in May 2024, giving it a second chance to find an audience. And so people thought maybe this is it. Maybe Scavengers Reign can actually come back. But a few months later, Joseph Bennett posted an update on Instagram confirming that Netflix wasn't moving forward with the second season. And that was the final nail in the coffin, or at least it seemed like it. What makes all of this even harder harder to swallow is that the creators clearly had big plans for season 2. They even put together a teaser trailer showing what season 2 might have looked like. Now let's talk about the biggest what if when it comes to Scavengers Reign season 2, because if you have seen the teaser the creators put out, you know how much potential the show had, and the creators clearly had some wild ideas lined up. But if you didn't see it, I'll show it to you. First off, the teaser gives us a lot to chew on. There's this shot of Ozzy harvesting something that looks like an alien creature from a massive cavern ceiling. It's gross, it's fascinating, and it immediately raises a million questions. Then there's that spacecraft, you know, the one ornate, covered in golden skulls, landing on Vesta. Who's on board? Are they friendly? Is it a religious cult? Are they worse than anything we've seen on this planet so far? These guys have been driving fans wild with speculation. They're only briefly hinted at the finale of season 1. But the teaser gives us a better look. The Warhammer 40k vibe they're going for is strong. There's this mix of religious iconography and biomechanical design that feels both futuristic and ancient. It's also cryptic, and it sets the stage for a story that feels even bigger and weirder than season 1. The teaser also shows the survivors adapting to life on Vesta in ways that feel very Vesta. There's a shot of them using the local wildlife to transport cargo and supplies, like they finally figured out how to work with the ecosystem instead of fighting it. It's such a cool concept seeing humans and this alien world kind of meet in the middle. And then there's Ursula. At one point, she steps into this plant-like pod that wraps around her entirely. Is it healing her, changing her, something else entirely? The fact that we don't know just makes it more intriguing. And then, of course, there's Levi. The teaser shows them reaching out to this strange flying creature, and it's such a brief moment, but it feels loaded with meaning. After everything Levi went through in season 1, the transformation, the connection to Vesta, you can't help but wonder what's next for them. Are they becoming more powerful, more alien? And what does that mean for their relationship with Ozzy? But what really gets me is how the teaser hints at exploring more of the galaxy. That idea alone opens up so many possibilities. What if Vesta isn't the only planet like this? What if there are other ecosystems out there, each with their own strange rules and creatures? At the end of the day, the teaser for season 2 was a reminder of how much more this world has to offer. It's clear that Bennett, Hootner, and the entire team behind Scavengers Reign were ready to take the story to incredible new places. And while it's heartbreaking that we may never get to see those ideas fully realized, the fact that they shared the teaser at all feels like a gift. So, yeah, the cancellation stings, and maybe, just maybe, that's enough to keep the story alive in some form, whether it's through fan theories, other mediums, or if we're lucky, a revival down the road. So that's Scavengers Reign, a show that felt like it came out of nowhere, blew everyone away with its creativity, and then got pulled out from under us way too soon. It's rare to find something that feels this original, this thoughtful, and this downright weird in the best possible way. And yeah, the cancellation sucks, no way around that. It's wild to think about what could have been. Season 2 had so much potential, from exploring other planets to diving deeper into Vesta's mysteries. But even if we don't get those answers, what we have is something pretty special. A show that didn't just tell a story, it created a world, one that feels alive and unforgettable. If you haven't watched Scavengers Reign yet, please watch it. And if you're already a fan, keep talking about it, sharing it with your friends, post about it, keep the conversation going. Who knows, maybe Just maybe we'll get to see more of this world someday. But for now, let's just appreciate what we got. I want to thank everyone who took the time of day to watch or listen to this video. Let me know your thoughts. Let's keep the love of Scavengers Reign alive. And if you enjoy this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe. And now remember, the important thing is to always keep questioning, even me. Till next time.